What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Italian Stallion, here for another episode of Rebel Cause. You got it, baby. It is 9:33, just a few minutes late. Still some craziness going on in the Stallion's life with all these hurricanes and another one coming. And praying for my brothers and sisters down there in Tampa on the West Coast, wherever this thing is going to hit. It is not looking good. And so I hope if people have evacuated, they've gotten out of there by now. And if you haven't, please, because this thing will be here in about 24 hours time and ready to pack a punch. Devastation. I'm very sorry to hear all of that that's headed their way. But you know what it is, guys. It's 9:30. It's Tuesday night. It's time for the cause, because that cause don't stop when the clock hits zero. Want to start away right away, give a shout out to the West High girls soccer team tonight. They took care of business 3-0 against Hardin Valley in the district tournament semifinals. They will be facing Bearden this Thursday night. Bearden took care of Farragut 6-0, with both those two teams playing for the district tournament championship Thursday. The winner, of course, would take on the runner-up of the region between Powell and Oak Ridge, and then the winner of that game would, the loser of that game would either take on the winner of Bearden West, and the two teams of that would then sectionals and go from there. So shout out to Coach Castro and the Lady Rebels soccer team getting it done. For the volleyball side, just want to wish them well on a great season. They fell a little short tonight in the district tournament to William Blunt, 3-0. So great season for them. I know they got a lot of young talent coming, and so I think that next year will be something to build on, and definitely work hard for in the off season. So want to give a shout out to them as well. That being said, guys, we got a lot of business to take care of tonight. We have a really special guest, a good friend of mine, one of the OGs from that 1994 state semifinalist team, the first banner that hangs on that beautiful field house there at 3300 Sutherland Avenue on Bill Wilson Field, coached by the late, great Bill Wilson. We have a special guest that's going to talk about that, because it has been 30 years since that special season took place. Hard to believe. Feels like it was just yesterday, but we're going to take this fall break, since we don't have a game, to reminisce and talk about those good old days. And I'm sure he's got a lot of great stories, so definitely stick around for that. With that being said, I want to give some housekeeping real quick. The views and opinions of this program are not affiliated with those of any other organization or of West High School. This is solely the RWAC crew, myself, the Italian Stallion, two-pair Tate, Brian Tate, and the coach and staff himself, Mr. Shane O'Mac. So, like it, love it, live it, learn it. It doesn't matter, because it is our opinion only. Also want to give a shout out to our guy, Mr. Alex Thatcher, class of 2003 grad with Knoxville Coffee Company, a good brew there in the heart of Marble City, right off of Sutherland Avenue. If you haven't had it, you'll love it. Trust me. It's good stuff right there. And also want to give a shout out to the gals over at King's Chamber, Miss Kim Castle and Miss Rachel Davis, always doing their thing, making the Italian Stallion look suave with the waxes and the beard trims. Obviously not so much the haircuts, but we'll worry about that later. And they've got the manicures and pedicures getting here very soon. So if you haven't joined them yet as a VIP, go pay them a visit. You won't be disappointed. And 2 drinks of your choice when you go and visit them at the chamber. They make you feel like the true king you are and give you that royal treatment. With that being said, I want to bring on my co-host, so we got some business to talk to. Came up a little short there in Pistol Creek. Got to give a shout out to the guys for fighting. I like to start up front, giving it everything they got, but they fell short 28-10 to Alcoa. But we're going to talk about it first before we bring on our guest. First, he is a Mr. 2003 West. He is the voice of the Running Rebels and the Lady Rebels for coming up on 19 years. And it's going to be amazing to hear him when we get to see both those teams take the court in little less than a month. It's hard to believe that it's already here, but he's going to be showing his skills, and I can't wait to see all the nicknames and everything he's got for them. He's a true rebel with a cause, even going to be announcing games for the Pellissippi Panthers inaugural basketball season. How cool is that? Hardest working guy I know, my favorite Seminole, and you hand him a mic, he is there to entertain you and put a smile on your face just like he does every week on this show. Let's bring him on. The one, the only, two-pair Tate, Brian Tate. What is up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm watching your Florida Panthers kick some
It's
tail.
5. It was 5-2. What is it now, by the way?
5-2.
5-2.
Hey,
Woo!
man, it's been the year of the stat. Look, Florida Panthers kicked ass.
Yeah.
Miami. How about Michael?
They're hanging on. They're hanging on. The cardiac canes, baby.
How about Michael Irvin on the sidelines, though?
Oh,
wow.
Dude. Hey, you want to know something?
How cool is that?
You gotta love somebody that just has that love for their school. You know, like
man,
he's so
do.
passionate, and you can't fault him for it. I mean, you know, so
I wish more of the Miami OGs would do that, like what Mike did. Like Mike used to be at the games. God rest his soul. Jerome Brown, Melvin Bratton, Jesse Armstead, Michael Barrow. All those guys used to come back to the school, and I think that's just really cool.
It is
that,
awesome.
You know, Mike is still, you know what I'm saying? I mean, how can you not love Michael Irvin? You know
absolutely.
What I mean? Like, he's
so passionate. So
I love the playmaker.
And you know, we got so much college football to talk about tonight, and our guest is not only going to talk about his time at West, but he's going to stay with us on the show because I want to give a shout out to Ryan Perry last week for being with us the whole time and everything. And
that was
really
our
cool. Guest, I want our guests to feel like not only are you part of the show, you can stay on and have fun with us. You know, it's just like you'd be on any other show and everything like that. So, but shout out to our guy Mini Fridge Ryan Perry last week. Great show, and we're gonna have another great one tonight.
That was awesome.
Absolutely. We got to bring on our other guy for sure. You know, he's got some things I'm sure to say about the game because he watched it as well. You know, of course, I was there doing the stats, but you guys were kind of watching on Diamond Clear, catching up. But
we want to give my VLT as well.
Oh, was it on that? VLT. It was on that too. So okay,
it was on my VLT.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
so
just,
Russell and all them were calling the
game. My whole thing with it is you played a great first half. You hung in there. But you got to be able to produce on third down. You took up the majority of the possession on third down. Yep. I mean, in third quarter. Excuse me. You're chewing a lot of clock during the third quarter, and then you don't produce points when you're chewing up the clock. So now that puts you in a disadvantage because one, you took in so much time to get downfield and don't score. You don't convert the fourth down. I mean, it's just things like that. And then there was a few times where I think Parker made intelligent plays. I think he was, you know, very smart on when to run and get out of the pocket to get first downs. But it's got to be a thing where, you know, you got to convert third downs. You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't let that happen.
Absolutely. They did move the ball, you know. I mean, they really did do their thing and so forth. But I want to bring on our guy, the stats man, our coach, you know, as he was nicknamed by Parker Dubon. Shane O'Mac, baby. Let's bring him on. So I want a warm Rebels with a Cause welcome. Let's bring him on, baby. How you doing, Shane O'Mac?
What's up, fellas? What's up? How we doing tonight?
Oh, doing good, doing good. We're gonna have a fun show tonight. You know, I know we took one on the chin again on Friday, but you know, let's talk about it real quick before we bring on our guest as we honor that team from 30 years ago. You know, West right now. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about before I get your thoughts. Obviously, the final score was Alcoa 28, West 10. This game was actually 14-10.
It was 14-10, and it was close.
Yes, it was very close. And West got the ball in the second half, got down there, and I thought that they picked up the 4th and 1. They had Messiah Wren running the ball.
I thought it was they picked it up. I thought they
but
did.
Apparently it was short, and Alcoa got the ball. Pistol Creek, baby, Pistol Creek.
Was it a little bit of home cooking?
You know, you never know with those guys, man.
It was my mama sitting on the front porch cracking green beans cooking. That's what that was.
Oh, well. Let me tell you something. There was a call during the game that was so horrible. I mean, that it was they actually deemed it an interception, and the guy didn't even come down with the ball, and the ref would not change the call. He wouldn't even look our coach's way, and finally the other refs had to huddle up and say, "Dude, how can it be an interception when the guy didn't even come down with it?" And luckily we got the ball back, whatever. But it was just one of those things where you never leave it in the hands of the officials. When you go to that place, you have to play a near perfect game. We did not do that. And the other thing is that the offense did move the ball. We just couldn't get points in the end zone. And I hate to say this, this is the first time since 2008. Actually, if you can believe this, this is the first time since the loss to Central in 2019 in the state semifinal game that West has not scored a touchdown, if you can believe that. They got shut out in that game. So, yes, so the first time, because Jack Keith, shout out to him, man. Jack Keith is a Mr. Pick Six machine. He bounced it, and, we were, I mean, he's just got a knack for getting that ball. So, shout out to him.
He has been phenomenal.
He really has.
I will say that, it's just up front when it's in the trenches. It's getting the first down when you need the first down.
It's not getting out of the way, because it seems that plays are developing and we're still not getting that burst off the ball to allow our playmakers the space they need. It's too bunched up. And I don't know if that is just a mental thing, or they're just the other team just a little bit stronger. I don't know. I don't know these things. But when you have parents saying it, but when you have parents screaming out there and they're even questioning the fight, or are you not wrapping up? Why are you not tackling? They're saying these things. These are the things from the parents. These are from the parents, okay? And they know when it looks good. And right now, they're at a crossroads. They're 4-3. They've got a tough game on Thursday against an undefeated and looks like an absolute animal in Anderson County.
And this is at the house.
And this is senior night. This is the final home game in the regular season. And your last two games are the region against Halls and Powell on Emory Road. And you have to win those two to get that 1 seed and at least 3 home games if you take care of business. If you lose either one of those, you're on the road to a very tough and undefeated Sevier County team that packs a lot of offensive firepower. And you don't want to see that in the second round. So that's what I'm saying, that there is a lot on the line these next 3 weeks, and hopefully this week is used to heal up, maybe get some guys that are been dinged up. And listen, we said it before the year, this schedule is a tough damn schedule.
Dude, I think Central Maryville.
I mean, Farragut, you've got serious. And then when you start off the year with Bearden, and that game could have gone either way. I think
that Bearden game really kind of deflated them.
I think so too. I think if they win that game in the way that they could have won it, I think that propels them. Maybe. Maryville. I mean,
Maryville's destroying everybody though. So.
Maryville.
Let me tell you something. They came out there wanting to beat somebody's little boy last Thursday on that game.
They were beating teams like every team is a redhead stepchild, and I was a redhead stepchild.
Yes. I mean, my goodness. I mean, and Bearden just looked. I mean, they beat Bearden worse than they beat us. That's the truth.
Bearden looked. Check this out. Bearden looked very average.
Very. There was no speed whatsoever against Maryville.
Against West, they looked like world beaters.
They played out of their minds. Yeah.
They played out of their minds.
I think like I've said for the past couple of weeks, Maryville's on a revenge tour. It's basically FU to all of East Tennessee. We run this bitch.
Hey, listen, can I just say this? And I could be wrong, okay? Because last year I thought that Alcoa was going to roll Maryville when they played, and Maryville found a way to beat Alcoa. You know what I mean? So here's my thing. I could be wrong, but when that little bracket comes out in 4 weeks on Friday night at midnight or whatever like that, you might as well pencil Maryville and Oakland and that's going to be your state champion right there. The winner of that game the day after Thanksgiving is going to be your state champion. I mean that. I mean that.
I like it.
Because Maryville is the final team to be on that revenge tour would be Oakland. Even though they didn't play them last year, their seasons have ended at the hands of Oakland the last few years. So
it's a close game for Maryville this year, and it's not going to be that way.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see.
This might be the most physical Maryville team I've ever seen.
Can I just say this?
It's up there with the 2003 group.
I'd say that. So I will say this
much. Like I'm rewatching the Alcoa West game right now. I've got it pulled up on my other screen.
I've watched it. I watched it twice, and the second half, Shane, is where I'm just like, you got to produce points. You got to convert third downs. You can't be chewing up the clock and not converting third downs and scoring. You're digging yourself in a hole.
I'm watching the defense right now. It's that first drive that Alcoa had. I'm not seeing any gang tackling. I'm seeing delays on if they want to hit somebody. I'm only seeing one dude wrap up. Like, it's just.
Well, and Eli, they contained him for a little bit, but Eli is just a very special player. He punts it. He can.
He called his own pass.
You just know it's not your night when that happens. I'm sorry. You just do. So.
JP blocks it at its height.
Yes.
Blocks it at the highest point.
Should be a pick going the other way. Should be. And he catches his own pass and gets 30-something yards on it or something like that.
Like when he caught that pass, I said, you know what? It's not.
It ain't our night.
And I'm going to say this again. These guys, as far as talent, they have a ton of talent.
Yeah.
But right now, it is gut check time.
It is.
You're after 7 games, we're 4-3. We're pretty average.
We're actually ranked outside of the top 10. Not that those polls matter, but they kind of do. We're ranked out of the top 10 since 2018.
And it's the first time we're ranked outside of it.
Outside of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
something. Just something. So yeah.
I think right now, I think the coaches are putting them in the best position possible. I really do. Yeah. I don't think the coaches are doing a bad job at all.
They can't play the game.
It's a thing.
They're doing a phenomenal job.
When you're on that field, I can put you in every position to win and be successful. But if you don't give me effort, attitude, and toughness, the 3 things I can't coach out of you, what's the point of the game?
Or execute. Can I also throw execute's got to find in there as well because they're not executing. I mean, play calls are there. The offense was moving the ball on them, but you have got to get points. You have to.
Also the 3 A's: attitude, alignment, assignment.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, yeah. But, I mean, look, here's the deal. The one thing I will give credit for, because I'm not going to be, I like that they came out fighting, and I wish that fight would have been when they played Maryville.
Absolutely.
I mean,
where was that team against?
Where was that team?
At home.
At home when you had your fans there, and like I said, they showed some fight in the third quarter, but when you're in the whole 21-0, coño, come on, I mean, let's go. So what I'm saying is that if they can put 2 halves of football together, which may I point out, we still have not seen. I'm still waiting for that complete game. I know the coaches did with it too. But if they put that game plan together for 4 quarters, and who knows, maybe the Anderson County game is the game that kickstarted it, because, guys, last year it was the Anderson County game that led them to the 8 in a row and the back-to-back. So maybe this is it again. And they need it against a quality opponent. They lost to Alcoa and then played Anderson County, and then it just went on from there, and they got better every week from then on, honestly.
You really got to see the difference of a team that knew that they're fighting for something. Like
Mhm.
this team could be one of those teams. Before we get to our guess, this is my last thought.
Sure.
This is one of those teams that you're fighting for a legacy to become a dynasty. Like you win 3 in a row, you're a dynasty. And I want to tell the seniors, it would look really bad on your senior class if you're not the ones upholding the standard that you guys set.
Hmm.
And I just want, those guys to understand that you built this up. Like you got a podcast, you got a sports app, you got a fan zone, you've got a TV show dedicated to West Sports because of
You
what
got a
you've done.
radio. Listen, Paige and Andrew do a great job on 94.3. You've had how many games televised this year, Shane, between Packer and you've got that Thursday night game is going to be the rivalry Thursday game next week,
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on the TV 4
Hold
times
on.
this year.
Hold on.
And you've got a Diamond Clear Media as well that
You
puts
got a
nothing but
Diamond
love
Clear
and soul in
Media.
you as
You
well.
got a
Come on.
podcast. Like you're getting covered as if you're an undefeated team.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
The expectations were so high for them. I don't know if it's causing them that they're overthinking.
Yeah, because I just want them, hey, block out the outside noise.
That's right.
Don't pay attention to us.
Mm-mm.
We're going to cover the game regardless.
And we love you regardless. And we love you regardless. Absolutely.
It comes down to executing. And I want the guys quit posting pictures on Instagram. Like leave social media alone for a week. Get back to what you were doing.
These days don't know how to do that. That's all they know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like get back to what you were doing.
Yeah.
Because if you're listening to the outside noise, that's contributing to the play on field. That's the last thing I'm going to say about it.
Last thing I'll finish up with before we bring on our guest properly to talk about this is the first special team, at West. I will say this
how
season,
good was that team?
We're going to hear all about it. But
I'm just going to watching them.
I'm just going to say this real quick. You guys still have a lot to play for. I said it after the Bearden loss. I said it after the Maryville loss, and I've said it again. You are still the standard in 5A, and you're going to be able to show that against a former 5A team that's now a 4A team that has a good chance at going for another state title. You have 2 teams that would love nothing more than to beat you and take that first seed and second seed from you, respectively, off of Emory Road here in the next few weeks. So it's in your hands, guys, of how bad you want this. And, do you really want to hang up the pads? Because before you know it, you're our age and all you do is you just got the memories and reminisce. Make it count, guys.
Make it count, man.
Make it count. With that being said, let's go in our little magical time machine back to 1994. The coach was Bill Wilson. Yes, he taught me how to drive. Rest in peace.
Taught me how to drive too.
I got to drive the car and still pass the class.
Hello, Fuzzy.
Hey. I still call people buffoons because of Coach Wilson. Honestly, they are a buffoon or what have you.
I still say hello, Fuzzy.
Hello, Fuzzy. So, oh man, he was great. He was great. Such a generous guy. 29-cent hamburger Wednesdays back in the day. Steamboat sandwiches. I'm telling you, man, that was the
Every
dude.
time he'd be like, "You want to get a steamboat?" I'm like, "I ain't never had a steamboat sandwich." Is steamboat even open anymore?
I think it still exists. I looked it up the other day. I think it made it from COVID. There were so many places that didn't make it because of COVID, but I think they're still around. So yeah, but anyway, I got to bring on a special guy because there are 9 banners that hang on the field house, and our guest was a part of 5 of them in some capacity. As a coach for 4 of them, and he arguably coached some of the best talented backs that have come through West. We've had some great ones since, but at that time, the collection of talent that he had, and I know he's going to talk about them as well. we had one guy on, and you could have a whole like year worth of shows with some of the guys that have ran that rock for West. Not even during his time as running backs coach, but he was a player on that first 94 squad. If you ever need to get hyped up and walk through the valley of the shadow of death, listen to one of the prayers from this minister, because he was an absolute animal, and he was nicknamed Traps because of them shoulders. You talk about the shoulders, he was nicknamed Traps because of them shoulders. And let me tell you something, for a guy his age, I think he can still put on the pads and run the ball for 5 yards, at least on one handoff. I'd love to see it, honestly. If we have that alumni game, he can, I think, still go out there and play. I really believe that. So, but without further ado, I want to welcome him on and give him a great, big Rebels with a Cause welcome. He is not only my friend, but a dear brother and a guy that I know I can call anytime if I need some advice. The one, the only Marc Giles. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good introduction, I guess. Hey, I might be able to go. I probably have a couple of downs in me, maybe 5 yards.
Oh, 5 yards. We want to see it, man. We want to see. You look like you can still play. Come on now.
Now, Coach. Now, you being a guest on our show, you know the number one question we ask everybody before we start.
Wait a minute. I'm going to put it up. Hold on. Do it.
Who was the first person to bust your ass, Coach?
I would have to say a guy named, this was actually at my first 2 years. I was at a school in Atlanta called Shiloh. And we had a fullback, tailback guy named Stacy Lester. And Stacy was 5'11", about 210. His squat was higher than his ACT score.
Oh, wow.
I'm not joking, and I'm not trying to make fun of him. I mean, it just really was. He was a 600-pound squatter, like legit 600 pounds. At one point, he had offers from Penn State, FSU, and I don't know that Georgia ever actually offered him, but Georgia was kind of interested. He ended up, because of grades, playing fullback at UT Martin. But I was playing running back and linebacker, and I was at linebacker that particular day. And it was a spring ball game. So it was really going into what would have been spring of my freshman year. And I went up with the ones, which is a good thing. And Stacy hit me pretty hard on a play, and I flew back in the air. He hit me, so he decleated me, put it that way.
Oh, man.
I've had a few of those in my day. I thought about this question because I was going to say several people. At West, if you've never heard of Jamar Caldwell, in Oklahoma, I met Jamar multiple times in Oklahoma. He busted me a couple of good times. I'd like to say I got him 2 times, but definitely busted me. And then an actual game at West, I can remember my junior year on a kickoff against Scott County. And I didn't know anything about Scott County back then. It was a bunch of country boys, big dudes. And it was at the end of a kickoff. Play had ended, and I had come to a stop, and I heard the footsteps. And then as soon as I heard the footsteps, you shouldn't turn, but I turned, and he decleated me as well. And that was one of those, the whole crowd was like, oh, it was one of those. So, yeah. So there's my times that I got destroyed. It happens. It's football. Everybody's going to get it at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a welcome to football moment, literally. Yes. So, yeah, for sure. Coach, thanks for coming on. I know that you're busy, but you're on fall break, and we wanted to take advantage of having you on because we've been wanting to get you on for a while. But the truth of the matter is that we know how busy you are doing what you're doing now and so forth. And of course, we didn't have a game this week. Neither did you. Or do you have a game this week?
We have a game this week.
You do have a game this week.
We play Oak Ridge Friday night.
Okay,
So
all right.
luckily, we're trying to turn the season around. Obviously, it's been a rebuilding year for us. But Jeff Courtney, I think, has done a great job, and the rest of the staff. You guys are just talking about the West staff. I mean, I can't say enough about the Shavers and Rod Ellerby and all that whole. I mean, those dudes are awesome. They've held it down. They've done an incredible job. Lamar at West, Coach Brooks, all those guys. Super proud of those guys. But to say the one thing that I would say about Farragut, we beat Bradley Central Friday night. So
congrats, by the way,
congrats,
on getting that. You had to get that one, man, and then you could just keep going. So
if we can beat Hardin Valley, of course, Oak Ridge is up this week. But if we can beat Hardin Valley,
you make the playoffs, right?
You make the playoffs.
There you go.
That kind of salvages things. So that'd be huge for us. We face Oak Ridge and Derek Rang, who's also a former West High DC.
Yep.
So lots of connections with West High School, but yeah. So hopefully we can get it turned around. It's definitely been a rebuilding year. I think we're going to have some very interesting matchups between Farragut and West in the next couple of years. I mean, the JV freshman games have been really good. Lots of really good athletes. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and again, it looks like Oak Ridge, who you have this week, that's a rivalry game. If you've never been to a Farragut Oak Ridge game, that is a rivalry game. Whether it's at Farragut, at Claybo Field, or Blankenship, I mean, it is intense. And the uniforms, there's like something there about that mystique when they play, and the bands. Like you have two of the largest bands going at it. It's like the halftime show's even fun. But it looks like they've turned their season around after starting off a little slow and everything. And you know, the truth of the matter is, this is when you really, now you're in October. And like our boy coach says here, you know, you're ending that third quarter and you're getting into the fourth quarter, which is playoffs. And that's when the real season starts. And you really want to be playing your best ball in October, going into November, because, you know, otherwise you're going to be bouncing the basketballs. Simple as that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I'm going to let these guys ask some questions, but first and foremost, I do want to say, can you talk about what went into that 1994 season? Because, you know, look, we're not going to sugarcoat it. West did not have many good years. I mean, they were everybody's homecoming. They were the team that wasn't supposed to do anything. You know, maybe a couple wins here, a couple wins there, maybe a player or two that was special that came out of there. But what was different about your group in particular, that 94 season? Because a lot of people don't realize this. You started off losing to Bearden, if I'm not mistaken, and, you know, lost a couple of games, but then something just happened that lit a fire under you guys. And I just want you to you have free reign to talk and tell this beautiful story of what happened that got that first banner on the wall at the field house at Bill Wilson Field.
Well, you know, West had not had much of a history. The year before, in '93, they won the region. And I moved to Knoxville after my first 2 years. My freshman and sophomore years were in Atlanta, and I moved to Knoxville. My parents, because they took me, my dad's retired military, so they took me from the high school that I started in. So they were like, you can choose wherever you want to go. And really, it came down to, I got the little kickoff book. They still had those back then. And the two teams that it came down between were West High School and Farragut, ironically. And I chose West primarily because of the diversity. I'd come from a school in Atlanta that was more like Farragut, and I just wanted to be in a more diverse school. So talking about that 94 team, there was 55 guys on the team. So not a very large team at all, but the crazy thing about that team, and I think the reason why, you know, you hear West being called the Beast from the East. Well, that started with this 94 group on the radio. That's what they called us. And before I even start talking about players, and I want to do justice to all those guys, I'll briefly mention several guys just because I think, how can you talk about the 94 team without them? But when I think about the beast from the East, what started that was, for some wild reason, about midway through, about the third or fourth game, we played AE, and AE, we were 3A back then, and AE was the number 2 ranked team. And so from AE on, so from about game 3 through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, we essentially beat the number 2 team twice, the number 3 team twice. We beat like the 7th, 8th, 5th, 4th, all those ranked teams except for the number 1 team, which we played in the semis, Marion County. But I don't remember the order in which we played them, but we beat them. Like literally we'd go into the next game and they're ranked 2nd and they're ranked 3rd and they're ranked 4th. And that's why they called us the Beast from the East, because we beat every single one of them en route to that semifinal game. And at least the schools that were ranked in 3rd or in 3A. Wow. So Bill Wilson, of course, I haven't heard Hello Fuzzy in a long time. Scott Cummings said that a lot because of Bill. And, of course, I heard it a lot in my day playing for him. Bill was a great defensive strategist, probably not as much on the offensive side of the game now that I'm a coach. Literally the first play of every single game that year was 32 give, which was a dive to the fullback. So I ran a lot of 32 gives, put it that way, but we rotated, right. We rotated a lot of running backs.
And I take it this was I formation, by the way, just so everybody remembers what the hell that was.
I formation and split back.
There you go. Okay. Gotcha.
And if you remember the backdoor draw that we had that Scott Cummings still runs, the backdoor draw that we had in 2014, 13, those that, I mean, it literally goes for a touchdown just about every time, even when you know it's coming, if it's got the right people running it. But we ran that back then, and it still averaged probably 15 yards a carry. I had one. I don't remember if I think it was my senior year against Central, and I should have had about a 70-yard touchdown run on it, and went about 20 yards and slipped and fell. But literally nobody was there. So
turf monster. It gets you every time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the guys that I want to mention though from the 94 team, you had about 15 guys that could bench press over 300 pounds. You had probably 15 guys out of about 50. You probably had 20 or 30 that were 400, 500 pound squatters. So, I mean, we went to Anderson County, used to have a weightlifting competition with all the other teams. And we went and won the weightlifting competition, if that tells you anything. So, extremely strong team. But this was also in the days where you hit every single day. So I actually about the 3rd or 4th week, I missed the POW game because I kept getting stingers in my neck. Because I'll give you a couple of guys. Turbo Pate. Does anybody remember Turbo Pate?
Terry Pate.
Terry Turbo Pate. Turbo Pate, who went on to play at Sue Bennett, and then went and played at Tennessee for a couple of years. Played fullback at Tennessee. But Turbo was about 6'2", 240. You had Ed Howe. People missed this guy. Man, he was 6 foot, 220. Those were our inside linebackers. Both of those guys were all state.
Ed Howe. Graduated with my sister, Tyra Tate. Yeah.
Ed was awesome, man. He may be one of the best pure football players that I have ever played with and ever seen. I mean, I saw him. There was a running back for Central that when we scrimmaged the spring, I guess it was the spring of his senior year, my junior year, and they threw a pitch to Rod Simmons to the left, and he came through an open gap and hit Rod Simmons about the same time he caught the football right in the chest, and unbelievable hit. But Ed was awesome. There were some other guys, a guy named Tracy Branner.
Tracy Branner. I remember
Tracy Branner. He went on to play at Tusculum. Tracy played defensive end and some fullback. And we were in split backs too. So if you were a fullback, you were kind of a tailback too. So it didn't matter. We ran blast and ice out of the 2-back set. We pretty much ran anything that we could run out of the I formation, out of split backs, and it just depended upon what was going on. But literally, me, Turbo, Tracy. So I'm 5'7", about 180 then, and I had to hit these guys every single day. Coach Rayleigh was the running backs coach, and he was the linebackers coach. So
Coach Rayleigh, shout out to Coach Rayleigh.
Just depending on where he wanted you, Coach Rayleigh's awesome. Only yelled and spit in my face one time when I missed a tackle against Powell my senior year because I kept trying. I went after this cornerback named Colin Steen, and I shouldn't have. And
shout out to Colin Steen, man. Colin was a hell of an athlete.
70 yards. Yeah, he was awesome. He was really good. But you had a guy named Steve Jordan, who was about 6 foot, 195. He was another one of those linebacker, running back guys. James Johnson was one of the smaller guys. You had an awesome offensive line. Juan Daniel, Kenyatta McDowell. If you guys,
I remember, I've heard that name, Kenyatta McDowell. Yes,
his son was KJ Jefferson.
So that was KJ's dad.
Yeah,
so okay, I remember KJ Jefferson. So yeah,
Kenyatta and I were also captains of the wrestling team. But literally, Kenyatta was, probably a 330 bench presser, maybe 350.
He's a great guy, man.
All day long. And he would give you the shirt off of his back. Kenyatta is a good dude. Still love him. Still a great friend of mine. But then you had guys like Jason Ford, the quarterbacks. We had Sean Bowman, Paul Shear, quarterback the following year. DeMarcus Pig Nelson, great running quarterback. Yes.
Athlete.
So that was senior. You coached junior, didn't you? DeMarcus Nelson Jr. Is it, were they related or what? So
yes,
they I was about to say. So all right.
Yeah, and I mean it's so crazy
Pig
how
was
many.
Great. God,
now
Pig
he had
so
brothers too. We had 2 sets of twins on that team.
The twins, the Nelson twins.
Yes, the Moore twins and the Nelson twins. Dwayne was also a running back and a cornerback. Dwayne went on to play at Carson Newman. And the first time they put Dwayne in at tailback, I was in at fullback, and we were playing Clinton. And I remember this plain as day. And he'll tell you I'm his fullback or whatever. But literally, it was an ISO play, and I took on the defensive tackle and cleared it. And he broke free for 70 yards, and that was pretty much all she wrote. They played him at tailback from that point forward.
Wow, so, man, the Nelson twins were so good on the field, man. The Nelson, I remember going to your games. So my sister is class of 95.
Okay.
And I remember going to y'all games, and I was thinking, man, this is the first time I could remember West being very good at football. Like you guys were the start of it. And I just remember watching you guys play, man. The Nelson twins, Pig, Turbo, Sean Bowman at quarterback. Y'all were just loaded, and you only had 55 guys on the team.
There was only 55 guys, but every one of those dudes could play. Even the guys that played sparingly. The Jason Ford was on the offense. I'm trying to mention everybody that I can because I don't want it to be the Marc Giles show, but Chris Hughes.
Well, it is the Marc Giles show tonight, baby. Keep going. So there you go.
It's Rebels with a Cause featuring Marc Giles tonight. It is.
But Jason Eskridge, I'd coached his son as well. He was one of my running backs later on, and we called Jason Buckethead. So he was one of the starting defensive ends. And let me tell you, he's probably the one person that I dreaded. I mean, I didn't like hitting Turbo and Tracy and those guys every single day, but I didn't have a choice. But if I could not hit Buckethead, man, I would take that all day long. We went in and played an undefeated, what's the name? Not Marion. I want to say Marion. It's not Marion County, but they had this Indian tailback. And I'm trying to think of the name of the school, Maynardville or something. Maynard County.
I'm looking it up. So
I'm trying to remember who they had.
Anyways, they had this
to all y'all games.
They had this tailback that was like, he was really good, an Indian. He had some type of Indian name, and that's all I remember. And I just remember Jason Eskridge decleating him on one particular play in the mud, and man, it was unreal. But he felt the full brunt of Buckethead. But we also had two really good receivers, several good receivers, but Jamar Caldwell that I mentioned before and Jackie Bowers both had offers from ETSU. They didn't end up going, I don't think. But both of them were. Jamar's like the type of guy, if Jamar was in the offense, if he was playing for West right now, West would probably be undefeated. He was that type of player.
Wow.
He was really, really good. Later on you had guys like Corey Baker, Brent Hemsley. The next year you had Eric Rogers, Jatan Johnson. I'm just mentioning everybody that I could mention, man.
Hold on. What about the kicker?
Matt
Corey
McLean.
Hayes.
Oh, Bird. Yeah. I can't remember his first name, but Bird. Yeah, he
Corey
was
Hayes.
Dude, do what now?
Was it Corey Hayes?
Corey Hayes was a track guy.
Track guy. Okay, he was a track guy. Because I remember it was a kicker that was on your team that actually kicked the field goal at Neyland for just like during halftime or something like that. I'm trying to remember. I was thinking was that Hayes, but I could be wrong.
No, that might have been him. He didn't play football, but they were part of the crew that. I mean, those dudes were crazy. They would streak across the field after wins and in like a mask or something like that. That's the one thing I remember about them. But Corey's a great dude, really good guy. But yeah, so we were called the Beast from the East. At one point, we didn't get ranked through that entire time. And Bill Wilson ended up making us a T-shirt that had Rodney Dangerfield on it. And if you know Rodney Dangerfield's thing was no respect. And so he was in a West High. I wish I still had one, but it was in a West High School uniform and had no respect on it. But man, that was Coach Wilson's thing, man. Coach Wilson totally was the type of guy to bring out the T-shirt, do whatever he could to motivate the guys. So
I'm actually looking it up right now, your 94 season, to see, because I'm curious.
I'm pretty sure it's Maynardville.
Was it Unicoi County?
Wasn't Unicoi County.
Okay,
Unicoi County, I think, was the second game.
Let's see.
I scored my first touchdown against Unicoi.
All right, so here was the scores of that season. Bearden, you lost 14-7. You came back the next week to beat Claiborne 29-0. You beat Carnes 28-6. You beat Gibbs 27-8. You lost to Powell 22-55. You beat Austin East 16-7. You beat Lenore City 35-7. Union County, you beat 14-0. Gatlinburg Pittman, you beat 16-8, and Fulton, you won 28-8. And then the playoffs was Unicoi County 21-0, Scott was 22-18, Seymour 14-10, and then ultimately losing to Marion County, the eventual state champion, 41-7. That, and you finished, I guess, what was that? 8-2 in the regular season, 11-3. 11-3 was your yeah.
That was the best. That was the best record at West until the 2010 team that went 11-3 and made it.